meetings, 2 minutes late, but I'm opening the meeting.
We got a quorum.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have a quorum.
Hot dog. Well, motion we adjourn.
Think-
We've met
Wait,
our.
wait, wait.
No,
we
just
haven't.
joking.
No, we
I'm
haven't.
following
We
the
can't do that.
agenda.
We can't do that.
Yes, but we have met our.
Okay,
we have
so
met
let's
our
let's
official
just start with the
obligation now.
approval of the minutes from November 28th. Is there anybody who has a addition, deletion, adjustment?
I have to abstain.
One abstention.
It looked good to me.
I have nothing.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. One more aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And any opposed? Okay, all
Abstain.
Just one abstention.
unanimous except for one with one abstention. Approved.
Yes, you've got 4 votes.
I didn't,
Yes, you're voting. You're
Okay.
abstaining.
Yeah, you're abstaining,
We
that's
only
okay.
need 4 votes.
We have a quorum.
I had this argument with the people.
Okay, so,
A vote,
They
an
believe they-
abstention counts as a vote.
so officer and committee
The meeting
reports.
are the only ones that can vote the minutes.
Attention, please.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Treasurer's report. The treasurer is not here. So I think that's, we'll just move forward. Secretary's report?
We have no public hearing tonight. We have a voluntary lot merger for next month. That's the only thing in the box, as far as I know.
Okay.
So it's a quiet month.
It has been
It has been.
recently.
Yeah. Thank you.
They still have the rest of this week and next week to get something in for the
Yes,
next season.
Correct, but
exactly.
nothing for the.
By,
Correct. There's nothing for
by
us to discuss.
January 2nd, we need to know.
Right. Yeah.
All right. We're up to the Economic Development Commission and the Lakes Region Planning Commission.
the economic development, we met the night before I had the budget, the meeting with the selectmen regarding our budget, and talked about that a little bit, and about what our plans might be in the future. And Norman, by the way, is going to be speaking to us on January 8th at our next meeting. And we just talked, as I said, a little bit about what future forums are going to happen in March and April regarding health and age-friendly Tamworth and all that. And as far as the Lakes Region Planning, I missed the last meeting, but I do know that the results of the map that we did, the mapping that they had asked us to do.
You mean the land use maps? Yeah, land use constraints? Which map?
The mapping for cellular service.
Oh,
Did that happen?
sorry, cellular
They
service.
did do that, it happened. And I got a report saying that many of the towns did not have the kind of coverage that the carrier said that we did, and therefore that report's gone to FCC. And they are letting people know that the same report that FCC got was sent to AT&T, Verizon, and so forth, to let them know. And so they're gonna argue about it, and it's gonna go like whatever. But it also could be that they might make some corrections because they know they're wrong. So we just hope it will improve.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Thank you for that
Yeah, that's-
major effort.
You know, not just me, but a lot of people,
Yes, I know.
including I think you were involved.
Well, minimally, if I was. I mean, I've been out straight.
A lot of roads got covered.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
by
really-
a lot of people.
That's
great.
really
That's
great.
wonderful.
That's really great.
Thank you.
Well, we don't have a selectman's rep. We don't have a rep to the Conservation Commission. We don't have a CIP report.
No, I apologize. I should take that off until
That's okay.
next round.
Okay.
Next session.
In education,
There's nothing new that's going on.
Okay.
Pretty slow time of year for education.
yep. Okay, now we're on to public hearings, none scheduled. So we're up to a meeting with, maybe we should juggle the order a little bit, which I actually think might be to our advantage.
Let's do these rules of procedure now.
Let's do the rules of procedure now
Good idea.
because that might be helpful to Norman.
Yep. And thank you, Sheldon, very much for
That's okay.
all the work that you did.
I got a fire lit underneath me by, our previous
Our
secretary, and which was really good. So basically, what I did is essentially knowing that we needed some structure for this upcoming meeting, and it being a joint meeting, which has certain rules according to RSA 676-2. We do need to have rules of procedure. The reality is that the planning board runs joint meetings, so we're in charge of that. And so I just took the essential ingredients from our regular rules of procedure for hearings and used that as a template. But after doing such and after meeting with Steve Gray this morning, I realized that although the rules of procedure are relevant for what we're going to do, there was a discussion about what essentially we have to essentially define what would be a public hearing versus a meeting for this particular situation. And the reasoning that Steve pointed out, and it's pretty obvious, that this is an informational session. It has no applicant, there's no application,
Aha, so it's not a hearing.
and there's no decision being made by the board, either board.
Right.
So from that standpoint, we might be better off not calling it a public hearing, but calling it a meeting. And I think the advantage of that is it takes a little pressure off of us for noticing, although I think we should still notice it early. A meeting only need be noticed 24 hours in advance, whereas a hearing need be noticed 10 days in advance. But I still think because we want as much public to arrive, an early noticing is a good move.
Right.
So, the other thing is I like about the fact that it's a meeting, it takes a little pressure off of us procedurally. I mean, we still need the rules of procedure, but we don't have to go through hoops with, people testifying and accepting things as evidence and keeping that. I think that disappears, which is one of the things I think we need to adjust with what I did. So I think the first bridge is deciding whether this is a meeting or a hearing.
I think it's a meeting. I think you're absolutely right to change it to that.
I absolutely agree.
Okay.
It makes a lot more sense and is much more. It's much more accurate as to what we're looking for.
Okay. I think we're in consensus with that.
Who's the moderator?
Chris
Can't-
Canfield. So, the other thing, there's a little bit of semantics going on with the language. Steve suggested taking the word educate out and using just the word inform or information, which is, I think, is a good idea because it's a little bit less. I hate to use the word condescending.
Yeah,
Or pretentious even.
Yeah, it's just, we're there to inform the public. We're not there to educate the public. The public's already educated as far as we're concerned,
Right.
but we're going to give them information that will help them out.
We are there to provide a space for information to be provided to the public.
Correct.
It's not. We're not. And again, it's not. We don't have the information, so we're not educating anybody. But I think that
Right. But the whole event is meant to be informational.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that came up in a couple of places. So I took the word out, education, and I put in inform or information, as you see in my red. And then it occurs to me that one of the bullet points under 5, chairperson of the planning board shall describe the rules of conduct for the joint public meeting, that the second bullet is no longer relevant.
Right.
In other words, any person with an interest in the matter may testify. There's no reason to testify because there's no applicant, there's no application, there's no formal decision to be made.
Well, you could change that word though, in order to make it, in order to emphasize that people could present,
They could comment.
comment.
But
No,
that's
com-
taken care of in the subsequent bullet.
Any person who wishes to speak shall be recognized by the moderator. But that doesn't say that if people want to do it in writing and send it in.
Okay. Well, we can keep this.
Why don't we change the word testify, which sounds a little pompous? It sounds a little legal. And
True.
just change it to something like comment or whatever we want to come up with.
Any person with an interest in the matter may comment in person or in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Comment?
Yeah.
that seems fine to me. Any material presented, the rest of it is,
This comment has two M's, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm bad. Okay.
any
In
material-
person or in writing, I must say that the writing aspect isn't taken care of in the subsequent bullet. In any material presented to either board as information shall become part of the public record and shall not be returned. Is that necessary?
What about, why don't we turn this into a sentence about the written stuff and change it to any person with an interest in the matter may comment in writing. Any material presented shall be part of the public record and not returned. And that just makes this bullet be about written comments.
Well, so comment in writing to me is contradictory. So let me take it one step further. Any person with an interest in the matter may present their
Thoughts?
view. I'm trying to thoughts. May present their
View's good.
view in writing, and leave it at that. But if it is in writing, we're going to keep it.
Right, that's the reason we're saying it. We're
Yeah,
saying,
if-
yes, if you can't come, you can present in writing, but we're not going to return it to you.
I like just leaving it, may comment in writing, any material presented as information shall become part of the public record. So if you're gonna,
You don't like...
you're welcome to send something in writing, but if you're sending something in writing, be aware that it's going to be part of the record of
For
meeting.
reference, it will be held as reference.
Yes,
Yeah.
Steve?
With your permission, I'm gonna dodge out on you and go home and
Yeah.
read your book.
That's fine. We're going over this, and it was very helpful this
Not
morning.
at all.
Okay.
Instead of my sitting here and muddying the waters, I'll
Yeah.
go do
You're.
something productive.
Thank you. Yes, you're good. Thank you.
So long.
So are we only changing the one word testify to comment?
And we're taking in person or out.
because
I think in person or should not.
Right. But the question is, are you happy with any person with an interest in the matter may comment in writing? Or do you not like comment?
I don't like comment in writing. That just doesn't
Okay.
make sense to me.
Okay.
May present
their opinion
may
in
present their testimony in writing.
But now we're back to
The testimony's about to-
We're back to
Then we should-
testimony.
Then we should just leave it as testify.
Their views in writing. Or their
It's all
opinions.
it all is a bit.
You know, I'm
semantic.
okay with
okay
testify. I'm
whatever.
okay with testify myself.
What about presenting their comments in writing?
Presenting
Concerns?
the matter may.
We could get into a serious semantic discussion as to the levels of things,
I know.
like
What did say
testify
that one?
versus comment versus concern versus views versus opinions versus thoughts. So, as sort of kind of vanilla as it can be, I think is the best.
Their comments in writing. May
Present their comments
in writing. I think that's okay with me.
Okay.
In the matter may present
Their comments.
their
in writing.
comments in writing.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good.
Any material printed either with this information will become part of the public record, not be returned. So we don't need your note about scrap this.
No,
'cause
that's
we're keeping
just-
it. Okay.
No, so whatever anybody said, if someone wants to write something in,
We hold it.
they do that with the
Okay.
understanding that it's going to be kept.
Okay,
Well, one point,
yeah.
but regarding the next one where it is a comment, they can talk in person, will be recognized, whatever. What about their materials? Someone in person that brings materials if they want to show. Do we keep that?
Well,
Yes.
if they present their
Anything
if they
presented
present
to
their
the board.
comment in writing, if they present something here, if they present something
In writing,
orally, then
Then it's in the
clearly
minute.
it's going to be part of the public
No, if they
record.
come and say, I'm recognized, blah, 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 and I have these documents to show,
But-
confirm my thoughts.
Yeah.
then
We-
that's
I would say
presenting
keep them.
something in writing.
Documents
You do
are
keep
in
them.
writing, and
Because
that's
it's a matter of public record, is what it is. I mean, it's either in the minutes or it's physical papers that are a matter of public record.
If someone hands something in writing, then
Right,
they do so with the understanding that we're
It's
going to.
done.
yeah. We have a
And we
right to
won't
know
keep it.
situation either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm just, with the understanding that you have read it,
Yeah.
if there's comments that you wish to bring to this, now's the time.
Okay, bullet number 1, I'm bringing it.
Sure.
You verbalized to Melissa that she'd be the one taking the minutes, except it says we'll have recorded, let's see, both the planning board and the board of selectmen shall each have recorded minutes of the meeting. Like receive them or take them?
No, they will just, there will be minutes from both bodies, period. In other words, both are responsible for creating minutes.
I
The
see.
way that it was arranged with Steve Gray this morning is that Melissa will be taking the minutes for the meeting, and we will review the minutes at our January meeting in fourth Wednesday, and then after we've reviewed and adopted those minutes, then the planning board will adopt them as well. So there's only going to be one set of minutes for both bodies,
The way
identical
that-
set of minutes.
The way that bullet is written does not
It doesn't say
agree
that.
with what you're saying.
Exactly.
It,
that's
but
what
it does,
brought
I
up.
think.
No, it
I mean, I
I think it sounds like there are going to be two different
That's
sets.
what
I think so
Because
too.
it's,
Well,
because of the word
okay.
each. If you took the word each out,
But in the end, they each will have their own recorded minutes. I'm not stating the process to get there. I'm just stating that in the end, there
But
will
you
be
are
recorded minutes for each body.
Yes, but the implication is otherwise. It really
So
is.
how do we fix it?
I think we take the each out.
if you just take the word each out, I think that will.
Shall
Fix it.
have recorded minutes.
Of the meeting.
Okay,
No, I think that's fine.
just take the each out.
Yeah.
We understand
Okay.
the process, but
Okay, I'm okay with that.
that just.
I wanna go right up to-
simplifying.
Well, are we starting too far down? I mean, I don't want to. I was hoping this was going to be. The reason I did this was to expedite the process.
It'll be quick.
All right, so
Planning board members, under number 1, planning board should be capitalized.
Correct.
Right
Yeah.
here.
oh, thank you.
Um,
Okay.
And then I don't have anything
do
further
you-
to change till 11, so.
Norman, do you want to have a copy of what we're talking about here?
This is your draft minutes. I thought I saw
No,
that
this is our,
online.
So,
this is our draft.
So-
We are drafting the rules of procedure.
so by law, the planning board runs a joint. We're not calling it a hearing. We're calling it a meeting because there's a difference. A meeting, I'm sorry, a hearing has an applicant, an application, and a decision. We're not doing any of those on January 9th. We're just informing the public.
The planning board is,
The planning board is.
whereas the
Well,
selectmen,
Well, the
when they
selectmen,
hold hearings, they do not have to have applicant
Correct.
And-
It's different.
Well, I understand the semantics.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
difference between hearing and a meeting. We're down, no, we're just changing it from hearing because that's kind of what it first became for whatever reason, to a meeting because there is no application and because there's no decision making on the part of either board. By law, the planning board does run a joint meeting. And by law, we need to have rules of procedure. So that's what we're doing here now, is creating rules of procedure.
Then you folks conduct your business. I mean,
Okay,
the
you don't
town-
need to see it. I mean, you're welcome to have a copy of what we're doing.
Sure, but again, the town is, the select board has already on the town site announced the joint public hearing. And I don't think for the public, it matters nearly as much as it does for you folks, whether it's referred to as meeting or hearing.
Right. I am going to talk with Darlene about noticing, and with it, I haven't seen that she's noticed it on the bulletin board or necessarily.
No, but the mailings have went out today with
Okay.
referencing hearings also.
Well-
But I'm not terribly
Yeah, I think
concerned about this.
I think it's only a small semantic issue that we are dealing with, and I don't think they.
I think
We're just trying to protect our procedural
Exactly, and so
Right.
as
as
necessitated.
Steve already used the term muddy the waters. I don't want to muddy the waters.
No.
You folks resolve
just a-
resolve
Okay.
this on your part, and then we'll get into
But
it.
I want you to have a copy of it eventually, so you kind of know what the procedures are going to be.
Okay.
All right. So, should we just go through this very quickly? I mean, I'll kind of try to speed read it, and if everything's okay, we'll go check, and if it's not, make a comment. All right. Okay, we're starting at the top. The conduct of the public meeting shall be governed by the following rules. 1. The chairperson of the planning board shall call the meeting in session and introduce the planning board members. 2. The chairperson should then introduce the chairperson of the Board of Selectmen, who will then introduce the select board members. 3. The chairperson of the...
All right,
Go ahead.
Up to two. You need a
At two,
capital C on chair.
chairperson capitalized.
The...
I have it, it is capitalized. Oh, the next one, okay,
Chairperson.
you have the next
On
one.
Next
two.
man.
The second chairperson.
Okay, all chairperson, okay, yes, the chairperson capitals of the Board of Selectmen, who will then introduce the select board members. 3, the chairperson of the planning board will state the common interest of both boards to have the meeting presentations moderated by an independent person and shall introduce the moderator, who will be Chris Canfield. 4, the chairperson of the planning board shall state the purpose of the public meeting as follows. The purpose of this joint public meeting is to inform the residents of the town about the matters concerning the potential sale of the Tamworth Village Association TVA septic system to the town of Tamworth. Any decision regarding this matter will be made by the residents of Tamworth via a warrant article at the March town meeting, period.
Is it a town meeting article?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a town meeting.
It's a warrant article.
Well, it's a warrant article.
Okay.
But is it a warrant? It's not a ballot.
That's a great question,
Well,
and we don't know yet, because we don't know even what the warrant article is. I mean,
Okay, but the point is, if you can say via warrant article in March, but if you're saying at the March town meeting, it implies it's at the Wednesday town meeting, not at the Tuesday
it does,
ballot.
and so that's a tricky thing, because we just don't know.
Well, just let's
but
say.
if we know it has to be a warrant article.
Why don't we just say we're made by the residents of Tamworth via a
I'm not the
warrant?
attorney, not to interrupt, but when you said introductions, speaking of attorneys, introduction of Attorney Matt Surd, counsel to the town, is also there.
Yeah,
Is he-
but
he
the
coming?
thing is,
Absolutely, he's there, and he's I believe, a critical presenter at that meeting/hearing.
but what we need to know, if it's voted on the night before, day before Tuesday,
You,
on a ballot, or whether it's presented as a warrant article during Wednesday night's town meeting.
You're not saying Matt Surge is going to be there on the 9th.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's nothing to do with the town meeting.
So we say any decision regarding the
9th.
matter will be made by the residents of Tamworth.
It must be approved.
Via
It must be approved by the town of, by the
residents.
voters.
Just cut off the whole thing.
Well, like,
Well, we could say,
Because the license agreement simply says that it has to be approved by town voters. And it doesn't get into, as you said, the minutia of, is it going to be at the ballot on Wednesday or at the town meeting the following day?
it could actually have been a special town meeting.
It says a
Could-
town or
Theoretically,
town or
you
annual
could
is
call a
how it's
special
referenced.
town meeting to make this decision. Could have done as soon as you'd upgraded the whole thing and it was done, special town meeting could have been called to pass it on.
And I
So-
don't want to speak for the attorneys, I'm not qualified there.
So change it to any decision regarding this matter will be made by vote by the
Right.
residents of Tamworth.
Well,
Must
by
be
the
approved.
vote, it could be by the voters of Tamworth.
Any decision
Period.
regarding this matter must be approved by vote by the residents of Tamworth. No?
I would say the purpose of this meeting is informative and in no way is a vote to accept or decline the.
Yeah, but I think we need
No, I
to
think
keep
that-
this
We
as.
can't. No, but we can't. Like if we're now saying, well, it's a warrant article, but we don't know. Now we don't know how it's going to be. So we have to just clarify that
The purpose
This
of the meeting, then
it's
say,
informative. No vote will be taken.
no decision regarding this matter will be made at this meeting.
Exactly, and it's
Period.
done.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a much. If we don't know yet what
Any
the
decision
situation will
regarding
be,
this
then
matter, no decision,
notice it. Just no decision will
no
be
decision regarding this matter will be made at this meeting.
at this meeting. Yeah. Then there's no confusion. There's no one is coming thinking that they're voting on it.
Well, and what if things get delayed enough so that it isn't a warrant article, it is a special
cares?
meeting
It's not.
in April?
It doesn't matter.
Say.
Well,
I know you
we
don't want
want
that to happen, but
We don't need to be.
We don't have to decide
It doesn't
that.
matter.
Right.
It doesn't have any
that's why
bearing
you
on
take
this.
it out. Okay.
Okay, are you,
We're done.
okay,
That part.
I hope we're done.
are we done on that part?
Yep.
But that's an important clarification, I think.
So,
The-
what Norm was saying though was back in introductions. Do we need to add a introduction of the attorney, or is that not necessary for the? I don't think that's necessary for
Okay.
the rules of procedure.
I'm not,
No.
we're not saying who's presenting at all. It's
Right.
just, I mean, it's just, that's the
Just like-
that's the moderator's job, actually.
to add anyone else in.
Yeah, we're not getting involved in that.
This just covers the official people,
yeah.
us and the selectmen.
Yeah.
Okay, because
That
that's
are
I
the-
was envisioning it similar to a town meeting where who's sitting at the table. It's the planning board, it's the selectmen, and it's attorney Matt Surge. That's
He
all.
can sit up here,
I
but
understand.
yeah, but he's a guest as opposed to the people holding the
Not
meeting, and
right.
I think the rules of procedure are only going to govern that.
Yeah, and once we get down to bullet number 6, I think at the point of the meeting,
Okay.
we can.
Okay,
Okay.
Melissa, do you mind just reading the sentence that we changed under the purpose of this joint public meeting? Can you tell me that? Because I'd like to write it down. I'm not sure I have it clear.
Under
Four.
Number 4.
Number
item
4.
4, I have clarified that the meeting will be informative, and then no decision regarding this matter will be made at this meeting.
No decision regarding this matter.
Regarding this matter will
Regarding-
be made at this meeting.
This matter
So that's
Well-
sort of.
Will be made at
will
this.
be made at this meeting.
Period.
So we cut everything off after just the purpose of the meeting is the potential sale to the town of Tamworth, period. And then everything else that's
We're just
written here gets-
eliminating my last sentence and adding, no decision regarding this matter will be made at this meeting.
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
that's all I need to know. 5, the chairperson of the planning board shall describe the rules of conduct for the joint public meeting. Bullet number 1, As independent bodies, both Planning Board and the Board of Selectmen shall have recorded minutes of this meeting. Scrap each. Bullet. Any person with an interest in the matter may present their comments in writing. Any material presented to either board as information shall become part of the public record and will not be returned. Bullet. Any person who wishes to speak shall be recognized by the moderator and shall state his or her name and address.
Does that include us?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, well, below you'll see. Bullet. Any questions to the presenters or to either board must go through the moderator. Bullet. Members of either the Planning Board or the Board of Selectmen may ask questions at any point during the hearing.
Meeting.
During the meeting.
Meeting. Good call.
Thank
Good
you.
catch.
Good catch.
and just as a quick point of reference, we, the planning board, and they, the select board, will have already been introduced by that point.
So we don't
Yes.
have to like say,
No,
We don't have to
we'll already
reintroduce
be
ourselves.
Yeah, everybody will
We'll have already been introduced
What
before
you've
any
done.
of this
Yeah.
happens.
Norman, you're welcome to a mint M&M if you
No,
want
thank you.
one.
Okay. Number 6.
And again,
The Secretary of the Planning Board shall give a brief summary of the presentation and a report on the way in which the public notice was given. I mean, that's kind of...
simple and brief.
Number 7, the chairperson of the Board of Selectmen shall do the same. I mean, that way everyone gets a little bit of ownership to this thing.
Right.
Okay. 8, the moderator, as assigned, will introduce the presenters and ask for their presentation. 9, the moderator shall ask any person who wishes to testify or submit information to do so. 10, the moderator shall then ask any person with an interest who has a question about the presentation to ask it. Is that?
That's fine.
Okay.
No?
Okay, fine. 11, the chair of the planning board shall indicate whether the meeting is closed or adjourned. In the case of adjournment, additional notice is not required if the date, time, and place of continuation is made known at the adjournment.
I think that's confusing
I-
because we adjourn meetings.
Correct.
I think it should be changed to the chair of the planning board shall indicate whether the meeting is adjourned or continued.
period.
Or,
No, you open a public hearing and then you close a public hearing.
But this
But
isn't
we're not
a
having a
hearing.
Public hearing.
so I would say the chair of the planning board shall indicate when the meeting is closed. Meaning that it's the chair that opens it and the chair that closes it. There's no continuation because it's not a hearing, we're not voting on anything. It's,
So there is no need
the,
to,
the meeting happens and then it stops and we all go home.
yeah.
There's no continue. We're not having part 2, right?
So we're just calling it, okay, the opening is the chairperson of the planning board shall call the meeting in session. So that's the tone of this. So somehow, if it's being called into session, do we need to somehow call it out of session?
You
Right, the
close-
chair of the
you close
planning
the
board will
Okay.
indicate when the meeting is closed.
Yeah. And again, it's not a criticism
Whether
of
the
the
meeting
wording.
is no longer in session? I mean,
no. You close the meeting.
you close the meeting,
But right, because I think it's
but forget the adjournment part of it.
Yeah, just skip
Correct,
that whole
because it's-
second
All right,
sentence.
skip
because
the
we're
whole
not having
thing.
to worry
Period
about
after-
the-
I'm not going to worry about it anyway, because that's not going to happen.
Period after close.
Yeah.
The chair of the planning board shall indicate when the meeting is closed.
Yeah, because
Not
the rest
whether,
of
Okay.
just when.
the rest of the stuff is for public hearing.
Okay.
We're not having.
Now, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. What if it's a very contentious meeting, it goes on for 3 hours, everyone's beat up, and we have to continue it?
We're
We
not
don't have to
continuing the meeting.
continue
We don't
it.
have to do that. It's an informational meeting. There's no vote. There's no continuing.
However, if
discussion.
if we just end it, and we want to do it again, we have to
Just-
notice it all over
Then
again.
we do that again.
Then we do that
Then
all
we
over
we
again.
deal with that at that
Because
time.
that's what you want to do anyway, if you decide you need to do it again, because you want some new people to come. So you don't want just those people that they were there fighting
All right,
to come back.
I mean, I'm going to accept that. I mean, just because
Yeah, I think that's.
I think it's
absolutely
very
fine.
remote, but
I think it is. Not that it could be it could be heated. It could be interesting. It could be any. I think it's going to be any number of things, but it's not
So
There's
it's
no
in
vote.
session and then it's closed, period.
done.
Is that the
We're
end
having
of
a
the
meeting.
whole
And if we want to have another meeting, then we
Is there more
Then we have to
questions?
notice it again and all that, happy hurrah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
then we
that's
can.
it.
And
Done.
that's,
okay.
All in favor of that?
Well, is there a motion to approve it as amended?
I move to accept the rules of procedure as amended.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? I guess that's what we're doing.
You got it all, Melissa? You don't need one of our markups?
Okay, you'll get a copy of this, just because I think you should
We'll
get,
look
the
at it.
moderator, the moderator's gonna get a copy, the board of selectmen will get a copy.
We'll have them on the
We'll have them
table.
on the table.
We'll just
We'll
pass
have
them out to everyone.
Right?
They'll be on
Yeah,
our
I
chairs
mean,
or
what we
something.
won't do is the signatures. I mean, do we even need
I don't think
signatures?
so. It's no longer a.
Do we even need
No longer a
signatures? Is the
hearing.
next decision.
I don't think so because it's not a hearing.
No, I'd get rid of that. It's just some rules we
Okay.
adopted.
Okay, so now we have to amend it and vote on that again.
No, we don't. We just.
All right, just cancel this.
Okay.
Omit.
No, because it is approved. Now.
Okay,
All right, moving right along.
It's your
Good
turn.
job. That was,
okay.
Time to
no,
move
that was,
on.
that was a good job.
With that having been done, now you know what we're gonna do with our meeting. And you came here for some reason, and
To follow up on,
Okay.
on questions, open items, clarifications from the last meeting on the 28th of November.
okay,
And to also update on the related issues that were then discussed at the 12-13 Selectmen's meetings. So I wanted to get everyone up to speed on those and get some clarification. Though I
Okay.
think you've already answered one of my questions, and that is Chris Canfield has been confirmed as moderator.
he's agreed to do it, yes.
Perfect, okay. So that shortens my list. So the first thing I wanted to follow up on is, Andy, you brought up a question as to whether New Hampshire DES made a distinction between the public and private systems. And New Hampshire DES does not make distinctions between the two for design and operation, but you're absolutely correct that New Hampshire DES does, and again, forgive me, I'm not the lawyer. Ken Cargill couldn't be here tonight, so I'm just going to briefly try to convey the understandings that I heard from the attorneys. And that is, when it comes to a subdivision within the town, for purposes of lot loading and such, New Hampshire DES does have jurisdiction unless the subject properties are connected to a public municipal septic system. That being the case, DES relinquishes any jurisdiction over it, and you folks, or the town, gets to decide what they want to do. For a private system, such as the TVA, the earlier rules apply, and so you're absolutely correct. There is a clear distinction between a municipally owned and operated system and a private public system, such as the TVA. And the reasons for that are perfectly illustrated by what happened with the TVA. New Hampshire DES appears to have full confidence that municipalities will appropriately service, maintain, and operate the systems. They don't have the same level of confidence in a privately owned and operated system, hence exactly what happened with the TVA going dormant. And so the short answer is yes, that your belief was correct. So that's the somewhat short answer on that one.
So the reality of it would mean that if there was some kind of a cluster or intensive subdivision development in the village area that wanted to hook up to the system, that it would be under the jurisdiction of the state under the current ownership, but it could bypass state jurisdiction if it was under town ownership.
Right.
Again, I'm not the lawyer. I don't want to get into technical interpretations. I gave you the layman's
Okay.
interpretation of that.
But that's what Ken said. I was at the meeting when Ken explained that to the selectmen, and that's what he said.
Okay.
And so just for my thank you. I'm trying to get clarification. I prefer to say I'm in the process of getting clarification from DES as to what I think what you said is exactly my understanding. And then the question is, if the town takes over ownership, does the system automatically become municipal?
Yes.
Well, but that's the question, and the quick answer I got from the state, without having I'm hoping to have a conversation with someone, a reviewer from the state, prior to the meeting, the hearing. But her short answer to me in just telephone messages was, just because the town takes over ownership does not automatically make the system municipal under the state's view. So
I'm not
so
going,
no,
I'm
no,
not
I
going
don't.
there.
No, and I'm not going there either. And so that's why I thought that it would. And but there might be more to it than that.
Yeah. So according to the three attorneys who we have consulted on this, Matt Surge, town attorney, Ken Cargill, and Peter Malia, the answer was yes, it does.
And
That's I'll let them go through the intramurals on that one.
yeah, which is great. And I would love to be able to have some.
Well, if whatever feedback you get from the state in this
yeah.
regard would be interesting
Yeah.
and
Informative
would be
and
good to know about it.
If in fact the person said that no, not necessarily does it become a municipal.
She absolutely said no, not
But
necessarily.
then the
does it.
next question is, what steps does a town need to take to make that happen?
Well, exactly. And what are the?
And
and
perhaps
that's
she
the-
could put that in writing.
Well, that's what I initially asked
Right.
for something from her.
Something in writing
clear
would
in
be
writing.
good.
And her response was, before I give you anything in writing, I would like to have a conversation with you about this particular setup and why it may or may not be.
Oh, maybe she'd like to come to the meeting.
Uh,
Well, invite her.
I'd be happy to invite her.
Invite her.
Okay. She may or may not come.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to invite her.
I
And she's
think-
very good, and she's very, again, like.
I think
it's
inviting her would be
Great.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
She's
this
a
is the-
DES person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's only an hour and 15 minutes from Concord.
yeah, she's Concord. Yeah, it's no big deal. But I think
get
these are
paid. She's
important
not
things
federal
because these questions are that plays into the planning aspect of what
Right,
positive things
so-
might come for when we're talking about
So-
what.
So
would be good.
that will be raised as to how it affects planning, the density issue specifically.
Yeah.
That will come up at the meeting.
Yeah, and hopefully we have an answer. We may not have an answer by then, but that'll be a question.
I mean,
think
our
that's a valid
town
question.
is unique.
Yep.
I mean,
It's a
we don't
unique
have
situation.
zoning, but there are ways to increase density possibly beyond zoning. We've talked about that in the past
Correct.
through a specific ordinance or something such. But, we're restricted at the moment.
But this might be something that
This might open
that
it up.
provides a
It
lot of
might open it up
flexibility.
for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was.
That's
The-
a big.
the
That's
first-
okay. Yeah, thank you.
Would you be able to share the name of that contact at New Hampshire DES?
It's Dawn Bucher. She's one.
Oh,
of,
Dawn Bucher. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she's.
Yep.
She's one of the reviewers, and she's.
We know Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's one. Yeah, she's.
Yep. Okay.
She's top notch. But Yeah.
Just so I can pass that back along
Yep.
to the attorneys. The second item I want to follow up on is when we met with the Selectmen, they requested some additional documents, and since this is a joint meeting, hearing, whatever,
Meeting.
I want to make sure that whatever materials we provide to the Selectmen, we provide also to you at the same.
Okay.
So the additional items that were requested I've dropped those off to Darlene, so the selectmen have them for tomorrow, and I've got copies for you all here tonight also. Becky Mason had asked for current financials from the TVA on this one. So I have interim financial statements through November. If they want more updated, I can have them through December. But of course, these are internal financials, they're not audited, etc. And I also have copies of both the fact sheet that is distributed and being distributed, and a notice of the hearing that I'll also provide to you. So these documents, not the financial statements, but the fact sheet has been, and a notice has been mailed today to all of the members of the TVA. It is also going to be available for public distribution at the library, the other store, other places throughout town, beginning on Friday morning. I want to wait until after the selectmen have had their meeting. And again, you folks have seen it first, more just protocol to make sure you folks see it first. And again, they've been mailed, so it's only a matter of the timing on that. So let me present those to you as well. So here are the financial statements, and these are the documents
Let me give this to
that are, there's plenty here for all of you and whoever else. So these are the two
Yeah.
else that have been circulated.
Okay. I'd like the moderators certainly to be involved in all these correspondences as well.
Well, they certainly are, these
Yeah,
are being distributed by the TVA. These are not town documents, just so we're clear. These are
Okay.
the TVA
Right.
has created and distributed these.
Okay.
And they'll also be posted to the exchange beginning on Friday, so folks have some
Okay.
advance notice.
Give her one of those.
So
And then we'll pass this.
I'm going to say that I think the planning board, as it runs the meeting, should be the personal contact to the moderator.
Mhm.
So, I mean, so there's one contact to the moderator. I mean, I'm willing to assume that role
Okay.
as chair.
So you certainly can distribute that, but I guess what I'm
Right.
saying is as of Friday morning, they're being made available to everyone in town, and we hope everyone in town.
Right.
There's,
Okay.
there's no attempt to
No, this way.
limit distribution.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I looked at it. Pat, do you want to look at the financials?
Yeah, actually, why
Okay.
don't you just take a moment to read those through if you'd like, and then I'll move on to the next item.
Okay, sure. Okay. Well, okay.
Is Steve Gray a director because he's a selectman and the town is on the system?
A year ago, we requested that the town appoint one of its members to fill a seat on the TVA board in order to ensure that the town would have full visibility of the activity of the system.
Gotcha. Okay.
Given the failures of the system in the past and the town's decision not to intervene, we felt it was best if the town had a seat on the board and would have the greatest visibility.
Gotcha. Okay. Looks good to me.
So to follow on that, and a discussion point from the Selectmen's meeting on the 13th, at an earlier Selectmen's meeting, Dan Poirier had asked, what is Plan B if the TVA is not successful in having the town take over the system? And at the time, we said we really don't have a Plan B, but what I explained at the last meeting is probably I'll call in the interest of full disclosure on this, is that the TVA suffered from a situation where it went dormant for several years. It didn't hold any annual meetings, didn't elect any officers. As I've explained in the past, billings were in arrears for several years. Basically, the TVA recognized it was not capable of overseeing the system. And we reconstituted the board 3 years ago. We did everything that you're aware of to get the system repaired and engaged the engineers and such. But this coming March, my term expires, Joanne Rainville's term expires, Steve Gray, his term also ends being on the board. Carl Baer, who's been involved on the board, I believe, for 18 of the 19 years it's been in existence, also would like to step away. And we have no interest of any other TVA members to come on board. So at some point in April, the TVA will once again be dormant. So as I think you understand from the licensing agreement, the licensing agreement provides for the town to do any maintenance, authorize any maintenance or repairs to the system if the TVA fails to do so. And so it's not like if the TVA goes back into dormancy beginning in April, the system's suddenly going to fail again. There are provisions in the license for the town to do that work itself, or whatever other steps the town may choose to take to ensure the health and safety of the citizens and so forth. But the TVA was dormant for several years and is going to go dormant again, probably beginning in April, unless someone or something decides to step forward and ensure its continuance overseeing the system. So I felt that that was important for folks to understand, because as we've said in the past, and what has precipitated this proposal by the TVA for the town to take over the system is a recognition by the TVA that it is ill-suited to be responsible for maintaining the town's sewer system in the village. And I wish we had a Plan B, but we don't.
So, unfortunately, Plan B is Plan A.
Well, so
I appreciate
I'm
your candor.
I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can.
Just I think that's important so that everybody knows what the situation is.
Right.
So in
But that's not-
reality,
I'm sharing the
there's sort
information
of
that was shared in the Selectmen's meeting.
We're not
So,
discussing it.
the bottom line is one situation is that the town officially adopts this system. The other situation is by default it becomes responsible for the system. Slight difference.
You have your choice. You can be responsible for it by owning it, or you can be responsible for it when it falls back into default.
There is a difference, and I think the main difference is that one is responsible officially up front, and the other is not. And so I mean, there is a difference.
No, there's a difference.
And I think
there is a difference.
There is, and as I tried to explain at earlier meetings, either here or with the Selectmen, had the TVA not been successful in its application for the $300,000 grant from CDBG, the Tamworth Village Association was going to file bankruptcy because the cost of repairing the system was approximately $300,000. The TVA had approximately $20,000 of capital at that time. And without the ability to fix the system, New Hampshire DES said if you don't have a plan to fix it, you can no longer continue to use it. The TVA would have filed bankruptcy, and the town would have somehow had to figure out what it wanted to do. So we're in a situation right now is we have a fully functioning system that's in excellent condition, and we have a path to ensure in the future it will always be well maintained and operated. So we're providing a path for how to get there. If that doesn't work, again, my term ends in March. I am not interested in continuing, and neither are the other 23 connections to the system. So there you go. Yes, please.
Does the Tamworth Village Association have any other activities? at the
None
moment?
whatsoever.
I mean,
The
they were.
Tamworth Village Association was formed initially to engage in activities and projects that, and I'm paraphrasing, to benefit the citizenry of Tamworth and the village in particular.
But wasn't the design and the plantings and all that stuff
I was
done?
not here for that, and
That-
I don't want to,
Bill Rich and Jack Meyer and all those folks. Okay, all right,
okay?
okay.
I
All
can't,
right. But at the moment, the septic system is the only thing the TVA has.
since the system was built in the year 2000, it is the only activity the TVA has had.
Okay, all right. I'd like to keep moving along.
I would like to move. I would like to say thank you.
said I was
Okay.
going to be home
Thank
for
you very
dinner.
much.
Well, is there anything else you would like to say?
So the last, again, I'm just trying to cover what I covered with the selectmen,
Yeah.
Okay.
to make sure the right hand
No, it's
knows
great.
everything the left hand is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my purpose this evening.
Absolutely.
okay.
The last item is that there was some discussion as to whether the proposed successor entity organization for oversight would be a 3-member commission. That is what our attorneys have researched and said they believe is the optimal arrangement. There was, however, some discussion about creating a village district or a precinct to hold the system. That is not the preferred path, and I'd like to explain why. If the town is to purchase the system outright, as we're proposing, and appoint a 3-member commission, that 3-member commission would report directly to the selectmen, similarly to how department heads report to the selectmen. So if there's a problem with highway department, it's the road agent who reports directly to the selectmen on that. Same with police and fire and transfer station, etc. This 3-member commission would do the same. The TVA currently uses outsourced bookkeeping, accounting, and so forth to operate and maintain the system. The town certainly has every option to continue doing so, and those subcontractors would be supervised by the 3-member commission. If the town chose to take on some of those responsibilities itself, billing, collections, what have you, it has that option, but it's not necessary in any way. If the town chose to do it to save money, because they can do it cheaper, better themselves, that's the town's decision. But the commission otherwise would be taking over the role that's currently provided by the TVA Board of Directors, this oversight of the contractors. In the event of a precinct or a district, it's really problematic because a precinct or district, number one, has to elect its commissioners from the members or residents of the district. Basically the exact same fatal flaw that the TVA has. The TVA can only draw its governance from its 26 members. If a precinct were to be created, what we have is TVA 2.0. It may be called a precinct
Mine
and
is
not
2.0.
called the TVA. But if it can only draw its governance from the same limited body, we have not solved the greatest weakness of the TVA. So that reason, number one, is why we strongly oppose any discussion about any consideration for a precinct or district versus the commission. The second point I would want to make upon that is the licensing agreement between the town of Tamworth and the TVA provides an option for the town to buy the system for $1. It doesn't say that a precinct can take over the system for $1. It says the town. And my understanding from consulting with 3 separate attorneys on this is that is their sane interpretation, is that a precinct being formed to take over the TVA could oppose that.
Right.
I don't see us going there. I just want to point out that it doesn't satisfy the conditions of the license agreement, and I believe even more importantly, it doesn't improve the situation that ultimately has led us here today to say, please take over the system. We, the 26 owners of the system, can't do it.
Well, let's imagine there's someone who doesn't live within the system for whom being a sewer commission is perfectly suited to their talent and expertise. You know, they design septic systems, say, you know, but they happen to live halfway to Shikarawa.
We recognize
Well,
that.
really, you know, they're who you want on the commission.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so the way there's 2 options, and again, I don't want to try and fill the role of the attorneys, and I can't do that well. But as I understand it, and as it's been explained to me, a approval placed to the voters authorizing the town to exercise its option, purchase the system for $1, and appoint a 3-member commission. The board appointing the 3-member commission can be packaged as one authorization. You don't have to purchase the system and then have an election of who those commissioners are going to be. The 2 can be combined into one authorization on a warrant, or however it's going to be.
Are you involved in the actual writing of this warrant article?
No, that will be the
Who does
town
this?
attorney, Matt Surge,
Okay.
in conjunction, I believe, with whatever other resources he wants to draw on.
Right.
Okay.
But it absolutely would be the town, because as we've made clear, this is not going to be a petition. This is not.
This is going to be,
If the town does not take the leadership in this, and it's not recommended by the selectmen, the members of the TVA are not going to be collecting 25 signatures
To make this happen.
to make this happen.
No.
That is not going to happen. It is not a special interest. It is not 26 owners looking for something to benefit them.
so,
So that is the reason for the distinction between a petition versus the town putting the warrant.
Right.
I have a question. I've heard some talk about what would be a negative, oh my, they're gonna hire someone, whatever. I'm curious to know, on a given, when nothing's wrong, it's a brand new system, it's working fine, what would you say the number of hours needed by anyone to make in a week or a month?
I would imagine the commissioners would probably meet quarterly.
Really, okay. Not even a month or a week.
When the system is in good operating condition as it is today, all of the day-to-day oversight is subcontracted. So the invoices going out, the bills being paid for electricity, the bills being paid for someone to plow it, etc., that work is all outsourced. So I meet with the bookkeeper, or David Grass, our treasurer, meets with the bookkeeper once a month for half an hour to an hour to sign checks and review invoices.
Yeah.
And then the board meets approximately quarterly or as needed to deal with any other issues. When the system was in failure, that's a very different situation. We were meeting regularly, trying to figure out where we were going to find funding, etc.
Well, you mentioned the phrase flushing it, or some phrase about periodically something needs to happen. What was, I'm not sure what the phrase was.
Once a year, the
That's right.
tanks are pumped.
That's it. Okay. But that's the only.
And there should also probably be annual or semi-annual inspections, physical inspections of the system.
And if that's done properly on an annual and whatever basis, do you see any issues in the near future? Or far
Not in the
future?
near future, no.
Okay, 10
But
years.
the discipline to perform those inspections and maintenance are critical.
Yes, I
Yeah.
imagine.
So,
So I'm really
Because
trying
that's
to
kind of
keep.
what the hearing meeting
we're gonna talk about
topics
this.
are going to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Those were
this is
all the
great. That's
topics that were
wonderful.
covered at the selectmen's meeting
Thank
or
you.
follow-up questions from that meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so is there anything else you would like to
Thank you.
present to us? Okay.
Thank you.
Because
There's a lot of
Thank you,
we
that-
need to-
it's,
I can't, we have to be concise
Yep.
tonight.
No, that's
it's gonna be an interesting meeting.
I'll see you January 8th.
the eighth.
Well, that's the
9th.
meeting that you said you wanted to go to.
Do you think that's
I don't
still appropriate or necessary a day before the hearing?
I don't think it's necessary, but you wanted to, and I said.
Well, I want to give everyone advance notice and make sure
I'll make sure.
but if we're only one day, if it's only one day before the hearing,
I talk about it anyway, so I will make sure they see this.
fantastic. Thank you for your patience.
All right,
Thank
well,
you.
Thank
you're
you for
fine.
your
Thank you
work
for
and,
all your work. You're-
All
It's,
right.
Thank you.
You're
man,
making
if only it
things
were
happen.
easy, it would be.
Where are
easy.
we, is where we're holding the meeting?
It's a brick
It's a
school.
It's a-
Cafeteria.
It's a cafeteria, okay.
6 o'clock,
6 o'clock at the cafeteria.
January 9th.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Lou.
you.
Oh,
Okay,
there it is, it's on the notice, okay, thank you.
okay, we're not done yet.
I might move that we table the discussion on the cell tower.
We can't.
Our next
We
meeting?
can't. We can't.
Oh,
In
The
a
cell
sense-
tower we can't?
Well,
Okay.
I'll try to be as brief as possible,
Okay.
but there's kind of a critical decision we need to make.
Okay.
Basically, Matt Surge has referred his work to a municipal-minded lawyer. Her name is Carrie Roman, and so he's pretty busy. So he's got someone else on our case. I got an email from her today, and here it is. I'll just read it. I'm working on this now. Do you want me to just clean up any glaring issues, or do you want a solid model ordinance? It's a good ordinance, but could we rewrite to be more clear to applicants, abutters, and the planning board if that is what the board wants? Shouldn't take me too long, but I wanted to ask first before heading down that path. So the bottom line is, are we asking her to clean up any glaring issues and essentially we handle it from there, or do we want her to write a solid model ordinance?
I'm all for paying people to do what they're trained to do. That's just my philosophy in life. So
Okay.
how many volunteer hours do we put in individually, Kathi at home or whatever, and then back here reviewing and then out again and back again for something as critical as a cell tower ordinance? You know, scenic roads maybe, hey, you know, get
Right.
the diameter of the tree wrong, who cares? So I would support having her fix it because I think she would do it right.
How much
Well,
is
it's a technical, complicated issue.
Yes, I would suggest asking her what the cost was
Excuse me.
going to be for her to do it.
So that's, okay. Do you have a comment on that? I just,
No, I agree.
okay.
I think
That's an
what's the
agree,
cost
if that,
difference?
what,
I agree.
agree, except for we need a reference, cost reference.
Right, the cost reference, because I know that you're going to a budget tomorrow, and I know that they're gonna,
Well,
you need to have enough for this in
Well,
your budget.
We're getting shortchanged on,
I'm aware of that.
at the, basically.
So
And
we just have to have enough for wherever her cost is gonna.
Okay.
well, we're not going to know. If we haven't asked the question, we're not going to know by tomorrow.
Well,
what
of
it's
course,
gonna be.
what she presents as this, a solid model ordinance, we still have the ability to tweak it.
Right. Right. I don't think the question
No,
is
no
whether
doubt.
we have controls or not. I think the question is, do we accept her offer to make it a much better base ordinance, but what's that going to cost us? I mean, my immediate reaction would be, yes, of course we can tweak it afterwards, but we'd prefer to be tweaking something that's been well written.
Right.
And so let's get her to do the
Okay.
well written.
So I
Maybe
feel,
she'd like to do a ideal model ordinance and only charge us part of the cost of it, because we will say, well, if you're making a good model ordinance, would you like to share it with other
You wanna sell
it
communities?
would be the only one in the state of New Hampshire.
There we go.
I mean, that's a fact.
Okay.
Because we've been dying to try to find one, and there isn't one
Well,
out
let's
there.
ask her to do it and say, and if we don't have it in our budget to it, I mean, let's take it step by step. But if we
Okay.
don't have it in our budget, maybe we turn to Lakes Region Planning Commission or the Municipal Association or something like that and ask for some
Assistance.
funds, some assistant
assistance.
funds for this ordinance to be written, and in
Okay.
return, we're going to make it available.
So I think my response to her should be, yes, we would love to have a solid
Model.
model ordinance, but we'd like an estimate for the cost, and after that, then we take it from there. I mean, how we share that cost is kind of not her problem, if
Yeah,
that's
if
our
it's-
problem.
No, it's not her problem, but you.
But we could, if
Yeah.
it's exorbitant, then I think at that point, we have the choice of
Passing the hat.
passing the hat if we can, and if we can't,
We'll find some funding.
well, I feel like
Well,
This-
let's see what the price. Let's see what.
Let's see what the price
Let's see what the
is.
price.
let's see what the
But
price is.
let's not balk at the idea that it might cost. If we have sought a model ordinance and have not found one, then why don't we be a little bit proactive and say we've got an ordinance. It's not a model ordinance, but we've got an ordinance and
Right.
we've got an opportunity to turn it into a model ordinance. That's a great thing to do.
Oh, it is.
Let's find out what it costs and then figure out.
Okay.
How to get there? How to get
How to get
Okay,
there.
that's what I needed. So I'm essentially going to ask her for an estimate. That's
Yes, exactly.
essentially what I'm doing.
Can you ask her verbally? You can always get it in writing at some point, but if you called her tomorrow, you would have a better idea.
Yeah, that's a really great idea, actually.
She might not. Yeah.
She might
Assuming
not.
that she
be-
might not.
No,
She
tell you
might
what,
not be able to
I'm gonna
say-
I'm going to respond when I get home tonight, so she can see it tomorrow morning first thing.
Yeah, but
And
she
then
might
a
say,
follow-up phone
I have
call
to
is the
look
way
at
to
it.
go.
Yeah, and you might.
You're worried about tomorrow night, aren't you?
You might mention
But-
in your email to her that the planning board budget is going in front of the selectmen tomorrow night, and that if she can give you a ballpark, it would be helpful,
There you go. That's what I need to know.
or a range, or whatever.
Okay.
You know, something that
Okay,
leaves her
okay.
free.
Do we need to vote on that, or are we just? we understand it?
Yeah, I think we should have a vote on that.
Move that Sheldon get back in touch with this attorney
Carrie Roman.
Carrie Roman to get an estimate of the cost of doing a
Solid model
ordinance on cell towers for us.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we can table everything else.
I think
Well,
we've already.
I think we've talked
already
about-
discussed the.
Well, the budget,
hearing.
just in terms of the budget, you guys have, I passed that around. You've probably noticed that, in particular, some of our legal and engineering costs, consulting costs were diminished considerably, which is the only budget items of any note anyway. And so Eric and I are going to go to tomorrow night's meeting and just say, by the way, we're redoing our model ordinance and we're going to need some engineering and legal help.
Mm-hmm.
I think your budget's inadequate.
Yeah.
Period. Let them
So
wrestle with that.
I read some of it, but I don't remember it. Was there an overall reason why everything was being slashed?
The
yes.
budget committee was tasked with the responsibility of eliminating $750,000 from the overall department budgets.
Why?
Because clerical area.
Because
You
what?
might know more about than me.
I mean, they didn't know until last Wednesday that they thought they were okay, but then they found out that they were mismanagement or something. Not management. misquoting of some funding or not funding, that they were 750,000 that they had to come up with, if they didn't think they had to come up with.
Somebody screwed up a decimal point. That's what I
In
heard.
the budget committee.
Well,
No.
no, in the budget. So the budget numbers that came into the selectmen that they were using to sort of work their budget, it came sort of as they were in the process. This is my understanding. It came to their attention that, oh hey, the number that you got here was actually wrong, and it's much less. And
It's only a decimal
It's only
point
decimal
place,
point.
just that much?
Yeah, that's it.
Only a factor of 10?
yeah, it's only a factor of
But
$1 million.
where?
Who screwed up? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it might not even been. It wasn't like
No,
the
I think it was
office
out of-
and
Well,
I think
it
was
doesn't
out
matter
of-
who it was. I'm just
No, it doesn't.
curious whether it was. It wasn't. I mean, it was a total number somewhere that was
that was my
misrepresented.
understanding.
It wasn't like the
A total number
this
somewhere
or
was
the this or one individual
No.
department.
No,
It
but
was
guess
like
what?
somewhere
Now you
along the
have to
line. Well, they have the machines that do those numbers now.
They call computers. They're like
Well,
Yeah, right.
monkeys use them.
yeah.
It's interesting.
But-
They don't make those kinds of mistakes when you're doing it by hand.
Anyway,
Okay.
good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Okay, thank you.
How much did they cut us?
Oh, God, I mean, our budget's,
Because of course we couldn't
I'm sorry,
just
I don't remember the
raise the
exact
budget
numbers.
to accommodate what the real
I'll
costs
I'll
were,
review
because
it
you
when I
can't
get
do
home.
Will you ever
then,
cut
mean,
us on it?
then you're.
So I sent everybody an email, which with
How
what-
can you be?
what
When was the number wrong?
It was a PDF of the budget
I'm in.
cuts by department, and I did send it to you, so it's in your email,
I'm in.
By department?
by
Okay,
department.
okay, I did see the whole thing.
Yeah,
How
and
does
so you had to
how
scroll
does the
down to get
wrong
to the
number
planning
and the
board.
corrected number, how does it line
was
up
way
with
over time.
last year's numbers?
Yeah.
I mean, is the wrong number?
But I do know that they
Financial person.
are cutting
I'm not, but
quite a bit.
Oh, I did
but yeah.
I did the advice the players budget for.
Okay,
So have we adjourned?
so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
No opposed.
leftover turkey, here I come.
Oh man.
Okay.
Good. That was.
Everybody take a handful of M&Ms.
I've been eating them.